Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever it is in the world you are streaming here on Twitter, as well as those of you on YouTube. Had to go live with the postgame show tonight. I was thinking about saving it for tomorrow with Steph versus Kawhi, but how can you not after that evening of hoops? Going to allow people the opportunity to join tonight's chat. You can simply hit that little message button in the bottom left corner. It is Late Night with Wob, 1:13 a.m. Eastern Time, 10:13 p.m. Pacific. And I figured, even though they lose their first round pick next year, that Portland Trailblazers fan base, which has been starved, they are thirsty for something good to happen to this franchise that is not just doggy paddling in mediocrity, missing on draft picks, and kind of just like we're so close yet so far. That was one hell of a victory. Comeback effort, down by 8 points. The Portland Trailblazers, with 3+ minutes remaining in the fourth, they were down in the high teens at one point in the second half, but multiple comebacks there, conceding leads, then Denny Avdia getting downhill. We have a lot to discuss. I haven't even mentioned the words the Charlotte Hornets yet, and the Miami Heat, LaMelo Ball, Bam Adebayo, as well as what I think is going to happen now with the end of season awards because of something that happened this particular go-around, with the ballots being delayed to voters for a week because of the Luka situation as it gets resolved with one of those special circumstances to figure out if he's going to qualify. Voters have not submitted their ballots yet for those end of season awards. And every single play-in tournament game that goes by, I understand that these voters probably realize it's a regular season only honor, but you're human and you can't naturally be influenced by some of the performances that you see from these guys that are in the controversy or the debate or the conversation of one of these particular accolades. And that's Con Knuppel, who was under the bright lights tonight. My God, those lights were bright for Con. Jaime Jaquez, Sixth Man of the Year. Now you have Denny Avdia, who sure feels like he should be back on the podium for Most Improved Player after that performance we just saw in Phoenix. But yeah, let's get all to it. This is a Q&A, people, so it's just me and this little screen here that I can click. I think this is it. Nope, wrong one. This would be it. And then I would have to add this. So eventually we will get to the LaMelo Ball play, which did, by the way, happen in a very similar circumstance. This knocked Bam Adebayo out of the game. Heat fans are obviously pissed off about this. But if you search, someone out here's got to have the video. I'm sure this guy right here does. Let's see. If we scroll down to this right here, this moment from 2024, where who else? LaMelo Ball is involved with this, grabbing Bam Adebayo's leg, almost identical to what happened tonight. This was back in 2024. And at first, I thought that this was going to be a circumstance of people just overreacting. He was worried about getting trampled. But now that we've seen a little bit of history with these two involved in a identical situation, now I have to think that maybe there was a little bit more motivation to it, more than him just reacting in a certain way and it looking bad from a certain angle. All right. Sorry, I'm yapping. Let me get to the chats here. There's a lot of you. This is Late Night with Wob, people. We are indeed back for the playoffs. You can find us here, and shout out to our partners at ProfitX as well, sponsoring this stream, as I will be live late nights throughout the entire postseason. And Riley says both of these games were amazing. Denny Avdia, we are back. Denny Avdia, man, you let that guy get downhill. There was no foul baiting tonight. That is for certain. He was electric getting to the rim, man. He is something special finishing above it, especially for that size. Size has not been the problem. And what were the Washington Wizards doing with him in uniform? Trying to turn him into a catch-and-shoot guy in the corner. He needed to be unleashed. People are admitting defeat to Adam Silver. Listen, we deserve this tonight, people. We deserve this. We just endured 3 straight months of load management, sniffles, cramps. Lord knows all the creative ways that they were figuring out to not play their starters, taking them out of games, recommending that their stars get surgery in the middle of the season. Let's take care of it now because it gives us a built-in excuse to not have to play you for the rest of the season. We saw that in Utah. We have seen player participation policy violations for as far as the eye can see. We have seen accusations of tanking against the Sacramento Kings when it actually didn't happen in game. It has been a complete and utter mess. And the first 2 games, I wouldn't call them the playoffs. I would call them the postseason because it's the play-in tournament. But my God, did we get back-to-back bangers tonight. And it is a very pleasant reminder of how good this product can be when it's at its best. When there's stars on the floor with the inspiration, with something to play for, the motivation of the postseason, this product I would put up there with many others in professional sports worldwide. It is the problem with the regular season is that it's very rare where we can replicate these circumstances, the anxiety, the pressure, the sudden death of win or go home. You know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for all the problems the NBA has, the playoffs are rarely ever on that list. The last time that any time that the NBA playoffs has been critiqued, it was because the super team era and you kind of knew who was going to be in the finals. Well, they've certainly added parity. They have added parity. They've added a play-in tournament, which always provides us with moments like this, dating back to the bubble where the Portland Trailblazers were involved in one of the first play-in tournament games ever. We have seen Steph Curry, John Morant, the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James. The play-in tournament has provided us with a little March Madness feel that the NBA is devoid of for a majority of the regular season, that has it irrelevant in most mainstream people's minds until this part of the calendar. Well, when we get to this part of the calendar, it better deliver, and once again, it does. You cannot accuse the league of not displaying great basketball tonight. Kobe White, yes, he was out there stroking the damn thing. Dead-eye shooting from Kobe. And the joke I made earlier is millennials, we're used to saying Kobe when we shoot paper towels into the trash can. Well, even Gen Alpha is going to be saying Kobe after this performance tonight. Did I do notes? No notes. No, not for the play-in tournament, perhaps for the finals or something. I know what you're talking about, though. G. Chapman says, is Dylan Brooks on the Mount Rushmore of guys you would love to have on your team but hate playing against? Mount Rushmore would mean top 4. That list includes Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, and let's go with Bruce Bowen doesn't make the list. Draymond. Let's go Draymond. So who's that 4th spot go to? Is it Dylan Brooks? Or is it Kevin McHale, Danny Ainge, Kurt Rambis, Charles Oakley? Ooh, no. I don't think Dylan Brooks has gotten to the Charles Oakley point yet, but I would have Charles Oakley 4th. And then with Dylan Brooks knocking on the door for sure. AJ Like Sports says, I think Portland can make it extremely tough for the Spurs. I think you are drowning in hyperbole, which is okay because Portland deserves their moment, but you guys are headed into a Category 5 storm in the San Antonio Spurs right now. Portland could get 1 or maybe even 2 victories. And even if they do lose 4-1, 4-2, that also doesn't mean they didn't make the games difficult or hell for San Antonio. I'm with you that they can certainly keep them close, but I do find I have a difficult time thinking that they can cross the finish line more than once or twice. But congratulations, because I know Portland fans have been frustrated with drowning in apathy after all of these years. Yes, you lost your first round pick, but it's the cost of doing good business sometimes. And now your Portland team here with Denny Avdia, who's going to be a franchise cornerstone, considering all of the controversy that has surrounded this team with the Chauncey Billups saga at the beginning of the season. You have something positive to take away from it, regardless of what happens. And I understand that this is a stacked draft, but do not underestimate the importance. I cannot overstate the importance of playoff experience, even if it results in a first round exit. You've got it already in Drew Holiday, right? NBA champion, longtime playoffs contributor. But it's the guys like Denny and Shaden and Kling Kong, Donovan Clingan. Those are the names that you are looking to get involved here. And I just wonder, man, I really wish it's never going to happen, but for the glass to shatter and for Damian Lillard to come out of that tunnel in Portland for game 3 all dressed up, man, I can dream a little bit, even though it's not going to happen. Who's my most improved player, asks Oreo in the chat. My most improved player is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but I will repeat myself one more time here in saying the NBA, I think, messed up in not getting those ballots out and returned to them before the play-in tournament starts. Because even though this is supposed to be an award, or this is supposed to be awards, that the voters can separate what happened in the regular season from the playoffs, it is only natural to watch performances like this from Denny, from Jaquez, and from Con Knuppel to see when it really matters the most. It can help fortify the opinions that you kind of had in the back of your mind or your subconscious. And then when you see Con like shoot like this, maybe this is a justification for voting for Cooper Flagg Rookie of the Year. And you're not going to tell anyone publicly. You would never actually say this out loud. But if you're like, man, Con stunk when they needed him the most. And I was 50-50. I was leaning Con, but now that I've seen it, I'm going to go with Cooper. And I'm just going to keep it to myself. You better believe that's going to happen with at least one voter. And if we have a tight race like we did with Malik Monk versus Naz Reid, 6th Man of the Year, just a couple of seasons ago, one vote sometimes is all it takes. Scott says, Tiago Splitter's rotations have a lot to be desired, but I will counter that, Scott, by saying in the final possession there, it was a ballsy move for Tiago Splitter to go small. No Donovan Clingan on the floor for the Portland Trailblazers. No Robert Williams III. They go with Toumani Camara, Drew Holiday, Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle, who had played only 12 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And who else am I missing? I'm missing someone else. Chat can help me out. Sorry. But Matisse Thybulle goes onto the floor, and Drew Holiday is able to secure the game-winning deflection that leads to a Matisse Thybulle steal and the leak out for Jeremy Grant. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat to see if you guys... But before Goodwin was able to get up any sort of second chance opportunity from the rebound, that is the part I think that Tiago Splitter was rolling the dice on a little bit. Because if you don't have Clingan on the floor, you have less of an opportunity to close out the defensive possession. But at the same time, he goes small because he was only up by 2 points. And by having 5 elite defenders on the floor at once, even if they're not centers, you can switch everything and prevent the 3 from going in. I think that was ultimately, I didn't get to watch Tiago's press conference. I was waiting there, and he was taking a little while. But I was wondering why we didn't have a rebounder on the floor. And it was likely because he wanted to switch everything to prevent that game from ending in regulation for the Phoenix Suns. If we concede a putback layup to, I don't even know if Mark Williams was on the floor, but any of their big guys, we're willing to live with that because they're still an overtime frame. But because he goes small and puts the Mathief onto the floor, the result of which is them conceding that offensive rebound, and then Matisse Thybulle secures the steal, they leak out, and they win that game. So in a way, it didn't work at first, but then it ultimately did. They lost the battle and won the war. Facemaker says, is there a better place in the league that knows how to get to the Better player in the league that knows how to get to the basket more than Denny, other than Luka? Well, Denny's a downhill player, right? This is what we learned from Devin Booker back in the conference final series against the Los Angeles Clippers many moons ago, where was that Monty Williams, golly, was designing plays to get Devin Booker downhill because of his efficiency when he was on the move versus being stationary. And I would say that Denny is at that point in his career where Devin Booker was a couple of seasons ago, that if you let Denny get downhill, he is a significantly better and different player than if you are able to jam him up and make him beat you off the dribble flat-footed. Doesn't mean he still can't get buckets, but we are talking about a very, very, very good rim finisher who has a unique ability to get to the free throw line. And while he didn't need that tonight because he did the finishing all by himself, I think teams that play against Denny in the upcoming playoffs, which is going to be the Spurs, are going to prioritize preventing him from getting dribble handoffs that allow him to be full steam ahead before he puts the ball onto the floor, as he once again burns a team with 40-plus points, man. Was that a career high or a season high or something? Chat, fact check me on that. I think it was tied a season high. How many, if we put together a compilation of his highlights tonight, how many of them would be cut in a way that he's on the move when he begins his offensive action? I'm willing to bet a majority of them. It is so noticeable. Scott asks, am I on YouTube or Twitch or just Twitter? I'm on Twitter and YouTube. Prophet X is YouTube, as well as Worldwide Wobs Twitter. And just to be able to give a quick shout out to our partners here. Sorry, I'm going to be dark for a second. There's not a lot of light in here. I'm in Vegas right now. Tomorrow's lines, people, because we're running this shit back. The Magic and the Sixers sitting as 2-point favorites. The Warriors catching 5.5, Steph versus Kawhi. And the big notable from this game tomorrow is the Warriors are going to be load managed. Steph, Horford, and Porzingis are going to have a minutes restriction. 30 minutes is what it's rumored to be for those guys for this game tomorrow, which is why you're seeing them catch some points, which means Steph is likely going to be out of the game between roughly the 3-minute mark in the third quarter all the way until the 6-minute mark in the fourth. What happens in those 9 game minutes when it's not being reciprocated by the other side? Let's keep going. What else you got, chat? Let me see. Oh my God, I forgot about the technical difficulties, by the way. So I was watching on League Pass, and at the time I didn't see what you guys were talking about, but my mom was actually in the living room, and she was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, what's she talking about? I thought she was ahead watching the game or something. Even if Dane could play, why would he? He's not playing. Allow me my WWE fantasies and how everything is wrestling. I love nothing more than to do some fan fiction with those two businesses. I got a fun fact in the YouTube chat from Majid, who says Denny didn't play against Wemby once this season. He doesn't know the level of rim protecting that's about to hit him. Fair point. It is the rim protection in the NBA. What do we say about fourth quarter Jeremy Grant? Not today. Well, what do we say to in Game of Thrones? What do we say to the God of Death? Not today. Well, Jeremy Grant, big buckets today. Slipping Sammy says, Wob, will I be able to watch this live stream later on your account? Go Blazers. Yes, it will live on Twitter for all of time. Mauricio says Amazon really fumbled on their first day of product with the world watching. Couldn't have picked a worse time to have technical difficulties than with 1 minute remaining in overtime. So you guys missed from the 47-second mark until the 20-second mark, or was it like the 50-second mark to the 24-second mark? You guys missed all that action. That is as unforgivable of a technical fault that a broadcaster could have, especially considering the size and resources of Amazon. That just cannot happen, regardless of what the reason is. Did someone hit a wrong button in the truck? It's like, oops, my bad. I should probably fix that. Yeah, I would think. In Amazon, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And what has actually bothered me the most about Amazon this year is that the audio is a annoyingly fraction of a second ahead of what you see on TV. So you can hear the ball hitting the rim, you can hear the swish, you can hear Ian Eagle react, and sometimes you can hear the crowd too, because of the slightest of delays that occurs on the Amazon Prime stream. Oh, you guys missed. So Helwick says that we missed the LaMelo bucket to go up by 5. All right. So you guys missed a key play there in overtime, even though you did get to see the end. Yeah. I mean, that is, I don't know how you even like justify someone, I was about to say, I hope someone died. That's the only way. If someone that was responsible for keeping that stream live passed away in the truck, that would be the only justifiable reason as to why this happened. Otherwise, they're going to be having a production meeting tomorrow at Amazon saying, whose fault is this? And who do we need to replace or have a stern talking with? But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, the audio. So it has been super annoying all season long on these Amazon broadcasts, man. How you can tell just a second before the ball either misses or goes through the hoop what's going to happen. And it's been something I've talked about a couple of times, but I'm like, no one's actually going to care about this unless it happens in the playoffs. And since we're still technically not in the playoffs yet, let me come back full screen. Since we're technically not in the playoffs yet, I consider this the postseason. We're still not getting the complete mainstream audience from other sports now that the Masters and March Madness and NFL and college football, like now is the time that people who just like sports and want to watch events that have high stakes, championship events, tennis, Australian Open, like whatever's on that weekend, I'm watching because I like all sports. There's a lot of people out there like that. And guess what? Now it's the NBA's turn. And they're going to be watching these Amazon Prime streams being like, why is the audio off? It's been off all season. And I'm going to need an explanation now as to why this has not been fixed with 6 months of sample size at your disposal. Is it because people didn't make loud enough noise for someone to care and try and fix it? Because now it might be too late. But they do have these audio syncing issues on Amazon Prime right now that I consider to be a major technical. It's distracting from the broadcast, man. It's distracting. And this is their first season with the platform of the playoffs. And all of these games are going to be on Amazon Prime until Rockets versus Lakers Saturday night. This is what they paid for. And to put out a product that has technical difficulties, you trend on the internet worldwide for an hour because you fucked up. Like, what would the NFL do to you if this happened? Not that other networks haven't had technical difficulties throughout their time. I'm sure NBC, ABC, TNT, whomever have all had big moments where the feed had cut out for just a couple of seconds, right? Something happened in the truck, a signal went down, you lose connection to the audio. This is not proprietary to just Amazon Prime. But what happened with the technical difficulties plus a 6-month run of having fucked up audio, and oh, by the way, they messed up the graphic. They messed up the graphic, people. In the final 15 seconds, it shows that Miami had a timeout remaining when they had burned both of their overtime timeouts prior to that. They did not have a timeout remaining. Otherwise, they probably would have called it. Davion Mitchell going coast to coast, by the way. Pelle Larson was a tad open. That would have been a difficult pass. He had his hand up saying, send it, send it. But Davion Mitchell, not who you probably want with your season on the line, going to the rim, the smallest guy on the court by far. And Miles Bridges able to get to that glass. Keep the questions coming, people. They're flooding in here on YouTube and Twitter. I can see both of them. Let me stop in on YouTube for a second. I got J. Rowe, who's asking, what do I think about the Magic 76ers tomorrow? I think the Magic better win this fucking game. Jamal Mosley sounds like he's on the hot seat, might be out regardless, but you're going up against a banged-up 76ers team without Joel Embiid that has their own hot seat going on with Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey, but a lot of desperation in the building. So with that said, I'm going to lean towards the 76ers being able to close this one out because of the offensive brilliance of Tyrese Maxey. This is a game to me that feels like the Orlando Magic will be leading for a majority of it, but will relinquish the lead in the fourth quarter. It'll become a close tie game, and Tyrese Maxey is the best offensive player on the floor by far. No one on that Orlando team can go shot for shot with him, especially Paolo Banchero, who is shooting with all sorts of inefficiencies from the outside and the perimeter. So Tyrese Maxey is going to drag this team to the playoffs because he is just too fast and too good at the rim. I got the pimpin' Nido King in the chat and YouTube who says Drew has such an infectious energy for winning. As a Celtics fan, I have such an appreciation for it. Shout out to him setting the culture over there. Sure felt like tonight we saw a couple examples. The Charlotte Hornets at the end of regulation in the last 2 minutes, as well, of course, the Phoenix Suns with the exception of Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks. How many guys on that team, like Royce O'Neal, would you consider trustworthy with playoff experience? Grayson Allen was unavailable tonight, right? You're really relying, while they have individuals that have that experience, I wouldn't say that the units in the teams do. But with Portland, well, we can go down the list a little bit here because Drew Holiday, man, had that team locked in down the stretch. Not that they have their overwhelming experience either, but there was a little sentiment of security out there with Drew Holiday on both ends tonight that was a little bit more contagious and receptive by the teammates than what we saw on the Phoenix side in closing out that game. You don't blow an 8-point lead with 3.5 minutes left. If you're getting high quality looks, if you're getting to the free throw line, if you have stars that can make big shots when it's break glass in case of emergency time with 8 seconds or left on the shot clock. They have a star right now that can make those shots down the stretch and Denny Avdia and get to the rim. They have elite defending. If Klingon's on the floor, they have an elite rebounder. And I would say with Drew Holiday, they have someone trustworthy that can get guys together in that huddle and tell them what's necessary in a circumstance such as that in the playoffs. Damn, got a lot of messages. Hold on. Oh, I got one more here in the YouTube chat. Miles Kelly says, what's your thoughts about LaMelo after this game? I will say, I'm going to pull it up one more time because now that this evidence has been provided, it has been submitted to the court and accepted by the judge, that, I'm going to pull it up here. I will say it is rather damning that something like this happened once upon a time in 2024, almost in the same exact spot on the floor with LaMelo in the same exact spot doing the same exact thing to the same exact player. And I wouldn't say it's between LaMelo and Bam personally, but it doesn't feel like such an accident when this video exists. Because at first, I thought he kind of fell to the floor and was trying to protect himself, and he just happened to swipe a little bit the time that Bam was falling out of bounds. It didn't look too malicious or intentional to me, but I have slowly started to change my mind a bit considering that this did happen at one point. Now, it's only 2 examples, but it is twice as many as we had than originally. Sorry, I got a busy night in the chat here, people. Give me a second to catch back up. This marks, King Benjamin in the chat says, this marks 7 years in a row where the teams that finished 7th and 8th in the regular season did not clinch those spots due to the play-in. Finished 7th and 8th in the regular... Wait. That doesn't make sense. Hold on. This marks 7 years in a row where the teams that finished 7th and 8th in the regular season did not clinch those spots. Oh, I see what you mean. I'm sorry. So what you mean is Phoenix was technically the 7th seed and they didn't clinch that spot. So they can clinch as the 8. I understand what you're saying. All right. So Portland was the 8 and they're going to qualify for the playoffs as the 7. So for 7 years in a row, the 7 and 8 spots have qualified in different numbers. Interesting. Mauricio says, I literally forgot about the Chauncey saga. Holy shit. Well, yeah, that happened. And Thiago Splitter has now taken this team to the playoffs as the 7th seed in the Western Conference. That's why it's always like, too bad, man. Next man up. The NBA will forget about you in a heartbeat. Everyone can be replaced. Everyone. Maybe except for Wemby. What's up, Max? Got a Blazers fan in the chat that says the Blazers will get 1 win in the next series, but damn, this play-in win felt great, was great. Yeah. I think this win almost is worth losing your first-round pick for. Because now you guys are going to get at least 4 games of experience against Wembanyama and the Spurs. And while Denny has not played against Victor Wembanyama this regular season, his ascension to stardom is going to require moments and experiences like he's about to have to face. Can Donovan Clingan be the Wemby stopper? No. You got to move your feet, man. Wemby is not just a big body. Influences the rim. I don't even think Clingan would guard him. Clingan's going to be he's going to be anchored to the rim as much as possible. We have seen, so for those of you Blazers fans that are wondering, what are we going to do? You actually have a defender in Jeremy Grant. Toumani Camara is probably a little small, but someone who would qualify for what I'm about to say. That we have seen a couple of different strategies from top teams in the Western Conference against Victor Wembanyama this year that have been rather effective. Now, the teams may not have won the game, but it did prevent Victor Wembanyama from turning into basketball Godzilla. And what it is a 3/4 front, not a full front, but a 3/4 front from a swingman defender that forces Victor Wembanyama to catch the ball in the coffin corner as opposed to his preferred space at the free throw line. He wants nothing more than to catch the ball in the middle of the floor above his head, turn, face, and just shoot over the top or kick to the corner. He loves having the full field of vision as if he's Peyton Manning back there going through his routes in a game of Madden. What teams like Oklahoma City did multiple times against Wemby was send Alex Caruso and J-Dub to 3/4 front him so that the entry pass to the elbow had to happen outside the three-point line towards the baseline. It's not a full denial, but it just changes the location of where Wemby usually gets his entry pass. We also saw it from Aaron Gordon. We saw Aaron Gordon a couple of times go into 3/4 front against Victor Wembanyama. No Nikola Jokic, no Chet Holmgren for OKC. And then, of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves deployed Julius Randle to guard, who has a little bit more size, right? A little bit more height and girth about him. But we saw Julius Randle in that game where he shut down Wemby and was over there fucking primal screaming on the sideline because he just out-dueled the alien. He was doing a lot of fronting himself. So with Portland, a guy like Jeremy Grant that I think is listed around 6'9", he's going to be giving away a ton of weight and a ton of height to Victor Wembanyama. But I would think Thiago Splitter will tap into some of the success that these other teams had in denying Wemby the ball in the position that he loves it the most on the floor. Easier said than done because every team would be doing it. And if you're going to be doing some fronting, that means you have to have a big guy behind Wemby so that they can't just lob it over the top and say, well, you're denying the entry pass. We'll just give it to him at the rim or he'll drop it in the hoop because the dude is so fucking big. Is that where Donovan Clingan comes into play, where he's playing in his little restricted area zone to prevent the lob pass over the top? We'll prevent Wemby to catch it over here, and then we'll deal with him after because Jeremy Grant can handle him out of the coffin corner. I would look for Portland to possibly try that strategy at some point because so many teams have, again, success is a term that is usually correlated with victory, team victory, but I would say it was more of an individual victory for the defense, regardless of the final team result. The Spurs are going to get good looks regardless. They have great players, and they're probably still going to win anyway. But that is something that teams have tried and actually succeeded at. More questions. I got Pimpin in the chat saying that since there's no real answer for Wemby, I feel like Tamani and Matisse on him with Rob Williams roaming isn't the worst. Okay, without even seeing your comment, I am suggesting something similar is likely to occur. I think they're more equipped to guard him than Phoenix would have been. That I agree with. That totally. What are you doing? Sending out Mark Williams, Iguodaro, and Dylan Brooks to front Wemby? No, man. You need Dylan Brooks for De'Aaron Fox. You need him for Steph Castle or Dylan Harper. No, you don't want him out there having a front Wemby the entire time because he's getting into such foul trouble too. He'd be out of that game in a heartbeat, and you desperately need him. So I would agree that Portland is a more preferred matchup against San Antonio. Would probably prefer Phoenix over Portland, but they're still going to win that series. Park is in the chat. Park Charrington asks, does Amazon have this same issue with Thursday Night Football? I can't remember any audio issues. Now, let's remember, it was just for, I don't know, 30, 35 seconds in one of the games tonight. The other video, the quality of the video streams in the second game was flawless from what I could see. But Amazon has a stain on their very brief legacy hosting NBA postseason games that is now going to be associated with it and having fans thinking like, could this happen again? What else is wrong? They get the graphics wrong. The audio's off. I've got three major problems that I can take away from just their very first display of this broadcast. Not great. Not great at all. Art Tamano says, I missed Late Night with Wob. I haven't watched in 10 years. It's been a minute. I have a couple more gray hairs on my head. Less tinfoil, though. I've taken that silver and put it down here also in the hair. But I like to keep the picture quality very 2015 so that you really can't see it all in HD. Why is it so dark? Turn on a light. You must be new, Chris. No. Soft Angry Dino says, also, it may have been just my TV, but the early game feed for the Blazers Suns cut out a few times. I didn't see that myself, unfortunately. Helwick says, it was cool seeing the Time Lord suit up in April. It's been a while since he's played this year, this late in the year. And number two, his minutes were decidedly not great. Both of those sounds right for the Time Lord, Robert Williams III. I got 7 Erp in the chat that's saying, so when Dame comes back next year, is it his again or is it Denny's team now? It does feel like one of those scenarios where Denny's going to lead the team in usage, but Damian Lillard's three-point shooting ability is going to complement a downhill score perfectly. Look to Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Those are two that do not involve each other in pick and rolls. It's very rare, and when they do it, it doesn't work all that well. We're talking about less than 1 point per possession average, which is terrible. But they do complement each other because Karl Anthony Towns is such a shooting threat that his gravity on the other side of the floor requires a defender to stay attached to him, permitting more space for a Jalen Brunson to go out there and operate, right? Jalen Brunson being the size that he is, if he doesn't have many landmines in front of him, he can break down pretty much anybody. So I will say that I like that Dame. If he's coming back from his Achilles, he may not have the explosiveness he once did. He's going to be much more of an outside shooter, patrolling the 3-point line. That will just create even more space for Denny Avdia in getting downhill to the rim, which with his athleticism and size right now, it seems that he certainly prefers. Chicken Pot Pies is asking, why will the Timberwolves not win against the Nuggets in 5? Make me a convincing argument. Jokic and Murray. Like, it's just different this year. They're going to run a pick and roll. They wear it like a sign around their neck. And with a team now that has more depth than it's ever had, including their title run year, Nikola Jokic comes off the floor and the Nuggets don't lose those minutes. They have as many knockdown shooters as they possibly need. They get Peyton Watson back, hopefully, too. His offense and ability to guard positions 1 through 5 is essential to that team. And I'm just not as worried about Jokic and Murray's defense. 40% of their closing and starting lineups being a defensive liability. No, not this time around. I've got Denver winning the championship. Oh, you're the turn on a light guy, Chris. That also makes sense that you're saying T-Wolves in 5 in the chat. What's up, Sam? Says, I swear, all Denny does is go right, but it freaking works. Yeah, all he does is go right and go downhill, and you still can't stop it. I've told this story a couple of times, but forgive me if you've heard it, but I'm going to do it once more. I was sitting courtside 2 NBA Cups ago in Las Vegas for the game between the Bucks and the Hawks. And sitting next to the Bucks bench, they, as well as I, when I was doing these late night with Wob shows many, many moons ago, telling you about Trae Young and how this dude will always go to his right hand. And I put together a compilation of all the times that he finished in the playoffs with his left or going to his left, and the video lasted about 25 seconds. That's it. All that guy does is try and get to his right hand. And in that game between the Bucks and the Hawks, NBA Cup semifinals, you can hear the Bucks bench. I'm sorry, I could hear the Bucks bench because I had my feet on the wood. No big deal. But maybe you could hear it on the telecast too. You see, ice right. Every single time Trae Young was calling for a ball screen and trying to get downhill to that right hand, the coaching staff was demanding that the Milwaukee Bucks would deny that opportunity and let him get to the middle of the floor as long as it meant that he had the ball in his left hand. And every single time, guess what happened? Trae Young got to his right, and he either scored or got to the free throw line. And he would turn around and laugh at the bench thinking, you guys don't think I have a left? It doesn't even matter because you can't stop me going right. These guys are so good, they're still able to get to it regardless. And Denny is another example of that. He's going right, and he wants to go downhill. There's going to be no Luka Doncic long step back to the 3-point line, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looking for that push-off to get to the elbow pull-up or his own version of the free throw line extended 3-pointer. No, Denny's going downhill, and I dare you to stop it. Dylan Brooks stepped in there and took a charge, which was the one time that it got denied. But he just relentlessly puts pressure on the officials to enforce physicality at the rim. And the way that physicality is enforced in today's game, it usually does favor the offensive player. It's unfair. It's just the way that it works. And I think Denny has certainly figured that out. Pav says the Knicks have a chance to do what the Pacers almost did last season and beat OKC in 7 in the finals. I think the Knicks can make the finals. I don't think they can win the finals, unfortunately. Would I put Denny back as most improved player? I do need to repeat myself, but this is once again a major problem with the NBA holding ballots because of the Luka Doncic situation that the voters have yet to submit. And you watch Denny tonight where he has been on the fringe of most improved player alongside Jalen Duren and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, how can those feelings at the beginning of the season, he was on my leaders in the clubhouse board. In the first couple of weeks, I had Denny. If the season ended that day, shortly after Christmas, I would have given him the most improved player, which makes him worthy. Even if he's not the face on the leaderboard, that could still mean he comes in second place, in third place, like Jalen Johnson in Atlanta. He too disappeared, but you're thinking like he's one of the candidates that you can't get mad at someone for voting. Well, Denny tonight puts on one of those performances that anyone who was on the fence 50-50 about giving him, let's say, a second place vote instead of a third place vote, you know what? I'm going to give him a second place vote, because what I thought I saw during the regular season was just validated in one of these play or postseason games, even though it technically shouldn't be acceptable for me to think this way. No one's ever going to admit it. None of the voters are going to say, well, guess what? I watched the play-in tournament game and I changed my mind, because they will get canceled. There will be calls for them to have their vote stripped, because you are not supposed to let postseason influence your individual regular season awards. You are influencing salary caps. You are influencing bonuses. You are influencing the maximum amount of money that some of these players can make if they end up on an all-NBA team. Don't be naive and think, oh, the voters are smart enough to know that this doesn't count towards the voting. Man, it's only human to comprehend, interpret, and apply what you witnessed tonight in your regular season thinking and assessment of the player. Because these games have such high stakes, it will naturally validate your hypotheses. Again, people keep asking for Kling Kong versus Wemby thoughts. I don't think you're going to see Kling guard Victor Wembanyama unless it's a switch from a screen. Now with the Hornets, by the way, how many times did the Miami Heat put LaMelo Ball into action tonight? In that fourth quarter, he was relentlessly, intentionally put into pick and roll action as Miami was trying to get downhill without Bam Adebayo. And I thought they were doing a good job of scoring against him. And LaMelo was what? 2 of 16 from, what was his numbers for? I don't have box scores in front of me. 2 of like 16 from beyond the arc or some shit like that. Well, he made up for it because he was granted a second chance of not being ejected in this game, which reminds me, there was a pool report that I need to show you guys really quickly. A pool report regarding LaMelo Ball and why the referees did not go to the monitor. Let's see. The referees explain why they didn't go to the monitor after that LaMelo Ball incident. I think Mark Spears has it. There it is. Okay. Just my computer is a little slow, so bear with me. Let's see. Pool report. I've got it. Let's read it together, chat, shall we? Pool report from the Miami at Charlotte game tonight. So Zach Zarba and Rod Boone of the Charlotte Observer conducted this. Why was the play not reviewed in real time? Zach Zarba said the play wasn't whistled in real time. Play continued with a fast break, and because play wasn't stopped immediately and there was no whistle on the play, the window to review the play was closed. Play was stopped after a change of possession and then a timeout. So, by rule, our window to review that play then is closed. He's not wrong. If there was a whistle, they could have potentially went to review it, but since it expired, even though it's unfair, maybe, he's not permitted to go back there and look the same way that if someone's foot is on the line, they can wait until the TV timeout or if there's a shot that's really close lined up with the shot clock buzzer going off, they can go to the monitor to review if it was legal or not. Blue Coal 19 is asking, what's the YouTube channel that this is live on? That would be ProphetX's YouTube channel. Prophet, Prophetx YouTube channel. And this is the website for those of you that have not been there yet. Okay. Another question. Was it later reviewed by the officiating crew in the locker room or by the replay center? Zach Zarba said, our crew, we review all our plays. So we reviewed the play at halftime. Follow-up question. Should it have risen to the level of a flagrant foul if reviewed? Zach Zarba says at this point, that goes to league operations, and they'll make a determination on that in the coming days. So they will make that determination and go from there, which means LaMelo Ball could potentially be suspended for the second sudden death game between the Charlotte Hornets and the winner of or the loser of tomorrow's Magic versus 76ers game. We're not out of the woods yet in considering. I do wonder that the NBA does have now access to that footage from this exact play happening with these two players, that will warrant a suspension. I don't think they will get there, but perhaps a fine of some kind. I don't even know what's possible or what's within the Players NBPA collective bargaining and how much they can fine LaMelo for something like that, but it's not going to be a lot. Oh, yes, Majid in the YouTube chat I forgot about this. Steph Castle versus Klingon. That's the little UConn reunion right there. They're not going to be guarding each other, but that is a fancy little matchup between two former championship teammates. Pav in the chat, thank you for fact checking me. Says LaMelo was 2 of 16 and Khan 0 of 6 from 3. That's pretty fucking terrible. Yet if you're a Hornets fan and we still won the game, that's not going to happen again, you think? That's got to make you feel pretty good, right? But man, the Hornets are such a different team at home. That building is lit. That is as good of an atmosphere as we saw in the regular season all year long. And they really feed off that energy. So with that game being now on the road in a sudden death 8-seed matchup against tomorrow's loser, I wonder if they'll be able to keep that same energy, because as every single player that I create content with tells me, role players will always play better at home. It's just a fact. There's not even a science to it. Every role player, I do a radio show with one of the best role players of his generation in Antonio Daniels. 13 years as a role player, championship. Role players play better at home, all of them, not just him. So with the Hornets now going on the road, I do wonder about some of these other guys being able to recover from these inefficient shooting performances, but it is nice that they still got a victory regardless. That would mean more to me than we just lit the world on fire by shooting the lights out. That's not sustainable. But getting through this form of adversity, where we saw a whole bunch of surrender Cobras in the Charlotte stands tonight, because shit, that game felt over. The Miami Heat got fouled up by 3 with 28 seconds left. Jaime Jaquez went to the line and made 1 of 2 to give them a 4-point lead. And it's sure, I mean, most NBA games, I would say 75 out of 100 minimum, where the team with the 4-point lead and less than 30 seconds left is going to come out victorious. And it's going to require some serious 3-point shot making and maneuvering of end-of-game scenarios where the opposition could potentially be fouling if they make their free throws. Well, that all didn't happen tonight. Chaos happened, and we got some big shots from Kobe White. My God. And that was after a night where he certainly made up for Khan and LaMelo. The difficulty of some of those, then he caught fire, and then, of course, the one to force overtime. Right? Well, you can make the case. I know you're joking, Helwick, who says Kobe White used all that valuable 9-10 play-in game experience. But it does mean something, clearly. More questions, chat. Give me some more questions. I'll be here for a little bit. It's now 2:07 a.m. Wednesday on the East Coast. It's 11:07 p.m. here. West Coast. I'm in Las Vegas at the moment. Tippin says, Harlan was great tonight, but I can't help but miss a Calabro call on a game like this. Calabro and Lamar Hurd would have been phenomenal. But with Amazon Prime taking over and no more regional sports networks, they not only eliminate local fans' desire to experience the game through their trusted home broadcast, who has been in their living rooms for the past 6 months or so, but they have technical difficulties they got to deal with too. Not obviously in the Trailblazers game, but the one prior to it. Jay Vesquez in the chat is saying, is NBC going to one-up Amazon's technical difficulties with pieces of that MJ interview still? The same as one interview that they chopped up over the course of 7 months. They haven't forced that upon us in a while. But it's so funny to me how MJ is singing like a bird right now on Fox for NASCAR stuff. He will chat to Jamie Little as much as you're willing to listen. The guy that is notorious for staying away from the cameras is singing like a bird because his teams are winning so much in NASCAR, and that's where his passion is at the moment. Eric Stottle's in the chat saying us night shift workers on the East Coast appreciate the late night streams. I know there's a lot of you. I used to do these back late night with Wobbs back in the mid 2000s, and despite the live streaming technology being rather new at the time, I was able to peel some of the demographics of who was watching. So it's obviously West Coast of the United States because you're following a West Coast game, fans of those teams that are watching Steph Curry, and at the time, well, LeBron wasn't on the West Coast yet, but whether it was the Lakers, Lob City, you get a lot of West Coast viewers because it's more reasonable timing. But also, I could see the amount of people that were watching from the Philippines and Australia because I think it's still late afternoon there. And I knew in that moment I was onto something because in America, it's tradition to go to bed and then wait for the morning shows to give their thoughts when everyone's getting ready for work. The problem is you don't capture the emotion of the moment of the fan that just witnessed a buzzer beater or something crazy happening that wants to talk about it now, not when everyone calms down. So Late Night with Wob was born originally 10 plus years ago, trying to capitalize on the magnitude of the moment and the emotion from the fans, which is why I do these shows so late at night, and I live on the West Coast, so I don't die from exhaustion and see the sun come up every single night. But yes, I do understand that there is an audience that is either working up because of kids. It's not as big as your rush hour in the United States between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, but plenty of people are awake and want to talk about what they just saw, and they don't want to wait till morning. I got some shit I need to get off. I'm all sorts of flustered. I got anxiety, or I'm experiencing euphoria like the Charlotte Hornets fans and Portland Trailblazers fans tonight. Oh, also, yeah, I'm sure Israel was up watching Denny as well. What time? You said it's 4 a.m. over there. Wow. Yeah. Now you guys know the life of the Serbians staying up for Jokic. I don't wish watching NBA on my worst enemy. in Central Eastern Europe because it is on so fucking late. Oh my God. Lunchtime. Muthia 911 in the chat saying lunchtime here in Indonesia. Appreciate you joining the show today or tonight. Pav is in the chat saying, where does Miami go from here? It seems like their two all-stars aren't playable next to each other. Man, they had an entire year where they weren't fully whole. They've had an entire year of Pat Riley drunk dialing Milwaukee, trying to offer Khalil Ware, who, by the way, fucking A, Khalil Ware-Benyama out there, proving once again how he is worthy of being in that alien unicorn conversation with Victor. Whew. Man, he had a couple sequences there before halftime where he was blocking shots, retrieving the rebound, keeping them in play, and it was leading to Miami leakouts. But they ultimately fell short because they needed offense from Davion Mitchell with Bam Adebayo banged up. And that was the story of their season, a microcosm of their 25-26 campaign. Was Hero was out forever, and they had to play with this incredibly fast-paced style to make up for their lack of star power in making difficult shots. And it was super sharp and smart by Eric Spoelstra, because while it wasn't working other than Miami like hovering at or above 500 for a majority of the first half of the season, it did keep them relevant until they got the cavalry back. And Spo, man, he emptied the clip tonight. They once again go to that 1-3-1 that it's an amoeba style defense that goes from a 1-3-1 to a 2-3 matchup zone. And the Miami Heat in the, not the most recent, but the first game that they played in Charlotte, did the same defense to the Hornets in the fourth quarter, and they ended up winning that game because of it, holding the Hornets scoreless for a considerable amount of time. That occurred once again tonight, and you thought it would be the reason why the Hornets go home. I was starting to think about, like, man, what a disappointment this is considering the Hornets' talent and how something so simple is being exposed by their lack of experience, even though they had seen it previously. And here come the zombie Miami Heat once again. Oh, but all of that was put to shit when Kobe White started making some of those threes. But I just love how Spoelstra, despite his limited resources, was deploying that same zone defense, which we have seen from them in the past, but especially against these Charlotte Hornets. And while the regular season is at times a struggle to watch, it is required if you do want to think on a high level. Because how many people tonight, when they saw the Miami Heat deploying those zone tactics, remembered what happened early in the month of March, where Spoelstra did the same exact thing to the Hornets and they struggled, right? You heard Stan Van Gundy bring it up during the broadcast once, but if he didn't do that, it would require the context of watching that game. And honestly, how many people are taking time out of their day to watch Hornets versus Heat on a Saturday night somewhere? You're probably not doing that shit. You're probably out with your family, your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whomever, right? But the regular season does matter. It's just difficult to watch. Two things can be true at the same time. The regular season matters. You learn about tendencies. You learn about experiences and how Houston was left for dead by the Lakers. Back-to-back national television embarrassments. And because that happened when it did, it afforded Ime Udoka the opportunity to work on getting Kevin Durant the ball downhill, similar to Devin Booker, similar to Denny Avdia. And now all of a sudden, the Houston clutch time offense looks revolutionary compared to what we saw the Lakers do to them on national television. Like, yeah, I mean, that shit does matter in the grand scheme of the context. But yeah, Khalil Ware, look at the chat. The moment I look back at the chat here, everyone's like, bro, Khalil Ware, Khalil Ware. Yeah, fuck yeah, Khalil Ware. Tell me that is not the most exciting prospect on that entire Miami Heat team. Adebayo, Hero, Jaquez, Wiggins. Man, Khalil Ware is the seed that I am protecting the most, that looking forward to blossoming. Chosen Raj is in the chat asking, any way tomorrow's games can come close to tonight's action? I think Sixers versus Magic will be close, and you'll see Maxey close that one out. Orlando's defense is too good to let it get away, but their offense struggles too much for me to believe that they have a chance to go shot for shot with that guy. Steve in the chat says, damn, 10 years ago, I've really been here for over a decade. I'm sorry to hear that. I've been here for over a decade too. But listen, you know how stubborn I am with aesthetics and technology. This is the way the stream looked back in the Periscope days on 2015, and it's the way that it's going to look for the rest of my life. I like taking bootleg videos that look like they're filmed on a Motorola Razr. They have VCR quality. That is my style. That is my brand. I have jerseys hanging on my wall. I don't fucking care. I don't want to live in an IKEA with everyone in their little fruit baskets and nice little made-up beds with their sheets that are perfectly white and marble. I don't give a fuck. Whatever's comfortable, whatever I like, and I'm going to stick to it. If I could have paused time in 1999, I would have done it. Right? I don't even know what I'm ranting about, but yes, you get it. Seven says, I'm listening to you yap. I forgot I got to get up for work in a couple of hours. We sleep when we're dead, but for now we talk hoop. You can cross that bridge when you get there. I got to wake up and interview RJ Barrett in about 7 hours for tomorrow's Sirius XM show. So we all got shit to do. RJ Barrett will be on tomorrow's program, Sirius XM channel 86. B-Ball Ben is in the chat saying, Global League dog, what a dub tonight. Was beside a little officiating in Phoenix, parentheses, bad, capital letters, exclamation point. Oh, thank you for the comment, sir. Coco Mamba is asking, how far do the Lakers go? However far I can throw them, and that's about it. I spoke with this with conviction on the radio show earlier, and I'll say it again, that if somehow, some way, LeBron James is able to win this series with no Luka and no Reeves, we just got the report today from JJ Redick, they're going to be out indefinitely, and he made it sound like they're not coming back. If LeBron James is able to win 4 out of 7 times, it is going to require him to average 30, 15, 10, and 5. He's going to have to do that 4 out of 7 times. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that we get one true vintage Heatles 2015 LeBron performance where he hits the silencer, pulls it out. The timeline's going crazy. The problem is that only counts for one. No matter how dramatic, no matter how memorable the performance is, it counts as one. He's going to have to do it 4 out of 7 times against a defense with Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith. You go down the list. If he wins 4 out of 7 times against a team with a fully armed and operational Kevin Durant, I'm going to make LeBron James my GOAT. He's not currently, but if he wins this series at the age of 41 with 6-figure miles on the odometer, LeBron James is going to be my GOAT because this Lakers team is horrendous. And how the stars have aligned. We talk, it's KD Braun. How else do you think they got onto ABC Saturday Night Primetime? Did we forget about Mr. AP? Remember Mr. AP? I'm not talking about the APs that you take in high school. AP, Carmelo Anthony. They want me to come off the bench. How about AP? They're trying to make me Clint Capella. We get Clint Capella versus DeAndre Ayton up in this bitch. Let's fucking go. DeAndre, you wanted this. You wanted the high usage. You wanted to go out there and be able to cook. Now's your chance. And you get to do it against who else? Clint Capella. Everything is wrestling. Ben says, bro, Khalil Ware is insane, but Spo treated him like an experiment project all year. I wonder if Khalil Ware can be a little difficult. If he can be a little difficult to work with, because it is very strange how they are not allowing him to be completely unleashed. He is by far the most interesting and attractive prospect that the team has. Steve says Khalil Ware is speechlessly good like 26% of the time. Remember when he was basically benched for a whole month in January? I don't think it was because of his performance. It could be because of his attitude and effort, but the talent is undeniable. Mike Lewis is asking, what's the path forward for the Suns? Book is a Kobe guy and wants the one franchise career, but I see a Giannis-esque situation coming if next year is more of the same. Interesting. So the Phoenix Suns are not done just yet, Mike. But Devin Booker has now had 7 different head coaches, if I'm not mistaken. Are we up to 8 yet? He has tasted the finals. He has tasted a team so bad that they were celebrating a 70-point performance in the TD Garden locker room after getting dusted and everything in between. He's played alongside other stars in Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and he's also been the guy. I would like to think that he knows he's the face of this franchise no matter who else comes in here. This is always going to be my team. I get the freedom, the optionality. But to win a championship, he's really going to need Jalen Green to expedite his evolution. He's going to need Mark Williams to turn into what DeAndre Ayton thinks he is. Yeah, the Suns are overachievers, and I mean that as a compliment. Because whether they make the playoffs or not, no one expected them to be relevant like this. And I think a lot of that has to do with Dylan Brooks, too, by the way. Just never letting his team take a night off. And Colin Gillespie out there swan diving for some of those loose balls and shit tonight. Pretty epic. The Bulls fans haunted once again tonight. What do you mean? The Bulls are now the recipients of a first-round pick, people. An additional first-round pick is on its way to Chicago because the Portland Trailblazers have qualified for the playoffs. Here you go. Let's take a look at the old Tinkathon here. Because if we scroll down, you will see that Portland's pick right here, which was lottery protected, right above it, it says end of lottery. Portland's pick now goes to Chicago. So Chicago is projected to have the 9th pick depending on the lottery. So they'll have 1 lottery pick and then 1 out of the lottery first rounder. But finally, something good happens to the Bulls. And I think Portland is okay with that, considering the feel-good moment that their team just had, their fan base gets to experience, as well as now at least 4 games against the class of the Western Conference, whether that's OKC, San Antonio, or Denver. Portland's about to get a crash course on what it takes, and that is something that money cannot buy. Do we have spreads out for those games? I'm going to assume no, because we don't know what it is. But I am going to leave this up here for a second, because if there's anything that jumps off the page to you guys about the Rockets being 5.5-point favorites at the bottom of your screen here on the road in Los Angeles, feel free to bring it up. What's up, Uzi here? Not any 6 figures. It's 250K. Oh, and I said six figures on the odometer for LeBron James. Andrew, oh, what's up, Drew? Said it would low-key be glorious if you brought up the Duke UConn March Madness game to RJ Barrett. No, I don't think he'd like that. And he's unfortunately one of those Dukies that I was forced to like because he was on the Knicks. But RJ's always been a super professional. And Duke now doesn't have those 4-year annoying white guys like Wojciechowski, Leitner, Shire, Redick. What was that fucking guy's name? 55, Zoltan, Zubek. Oh my God, man! Duke was forever the most uncool university and basketball team. Just pompous rich kids from the Northeast that hooped. Greg Paulus, Jesus Christ. But yeah, RJ Barrett, as soon as Kyrie was there, it slowly transformed into being a one-and-done university, and it's kind of lost its reputation as the annoying-ass college program. It's kind of just how the business has evolved. Pimpin in the chat is saying AO and Kobe were both the missing pieces for playoff teams, and the Bulls got a piece of string to show as a return for both of them. No, they actually got Jaden Ivey, who caused more problems. They might as well have just waived him originally and traded for nothing. Sebastian says, interviewing Knicks legend RJ, how lucky you are. Yeah, honestly, I don't expect, because RJ being that professional is not going to give any answers that go viral like on the internet. It's going to be a 15-minute interview. As soon as he's done with practice, that'll be tomorrow once again on our show, Give and Go, between 11 and 1 Pacific time. Pav says, Periscope, holy shit, you just unlocked a memory. I haven't forgotten. Jay in the chat says, I wonder where that Heat fan from the Amp Call days is. Which one was that? Oh, Shep. Is Shep out there in the world somewhere? When he said, we call him Bam at a bye because he's got no O. Helwick, you would remember his Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, something. What did he say? Fuck all that. Heat and 6. I don't know. It was hilarious, man. Once upon a time. I've lost my memory. Shep, if you're out there, hope all is well. Brian wants me to predict DeAndre's averages this series. DeAndre is going to average he will average 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 0 steals. You asked, I answered. Oh, the Warriors caller was, he was actually a Suns fan, I think. Talking about Johnny Football. Soft Angry Dino in the chat says, big Oregon fan. Dylan Brooks definitely is the best Duck to play in the NBA in terms of stats. Wait a second. Hold on. Well, isn't Peyton Pritchard an Oregon Duck? Or am I crazy? Gooch. Ant, is that you in the chat? Says that the fact that the EuroLeague app hasn't crashed since 2019 is a joke for the NBA. I believe you. Good to see you, Goonch. Oh, and you're suggesting that Tumani is going to guard Wemby. Yeah, he'll be one of those guys, again, that they deploy, I think, in a fronting strategy against him. But, yeah, Tumani, Jeremy Grant. No, it can't be Drew. I was going to say just any of those really good point of attack defenders that can front Wemby. You just send them out there like pawns, man. Whatever happened to Jordan Bell? Good question. Oh, it was Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, I don't give a fuck, Heat and 6, and then he hung up. Aaron Brooks, there's a name. Yeah, Pritchard. Pritchard's got to be the guy. Jordan Bell. Did Jordan Bell get a title with the Warriors? Was he part of one of those teams? I forget about the timing. I always forget about like the Festus Azelis, the Jordan Bells, Kevon Looney, David West, Zaza, Bogut. There's always that big man. Like, did Sean Livingston, how many titles did he get? Those Warriors role players, especially in the front court. Quite some names. He did get a title with the Warriors. Good, okay. Hello, where was that? Oregon? Wait, didn't he end up in Indiana? Oh, so he bounced around college too? Something tells me there's something going on with him. Because there is on the surface, there's not many explanations as to why. I got to stand up for a second. Bear with me. There's not many explanations as to why fuck, he's not getting burn and usage like someone that has his potential. Oh, I've been sitting on a bar stool for the last hour, 20 minutes. Back at this age is fucking jello. Livingston was there for all 5 finals. Okay. Yeah, I forget about some of the role players. Did Leandro Barbosa, did he win a title with the Warriors, or was he there during those years that they didn't win? Those are the guys I forget about. Michael Malone hiring for the Tar Heels, yeah. I don't really know what to expect in college sports anymore, but Michael Malone's a championship coach, hard-nosed kind of guy from Queens. Those kids better be tough. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to kneel. Okay, here we go. Watch this. I'm going to kneel like I'm in a church pew. Oh, that feels amazing. I could do another hour and 20 like this. Barbosa 1 in 15. Okay, that's what I thought. What else you got, chat? Jensen is here. Thanks for joining us this late at night. I think I would rather have Jeremy and Chris. No, not Chris Murray, but Jeremy, yes. I'd rather have Jeremy on Wemby and let Tumani lock Castle and then another Vassell. So Matisse Thybulle only played, 12 minutes tonight? Let's take a look at this roster, actually, because now you got me interested. I want to see their depth chart tonight if it doesn't take an hour for this shit to load. While this loads, Helwick says, I like how this looks like a hostage video because of the background. Good callback to the... Listen, man, that's... The wild difference is going to be someone who prefers the aesthetic of early days streaming before the expectation where there's got to be some bookshelf behind you with literary works of everyone's got bookshelves and signed pictures, and you present this ready for TV background. Man, I'm just trying to go live while I poop or I kneel on my bed. That's me in my comfort zone. Here we go. Now, NBA.com's box scores are rather infuriating. Let's see if I do this, maybe. So let's think about for a second. You got Denny's not going to be guarding Wemby. Tumani is a candidate. Jeremy Grant, candidate. Drew Holiday, Klingon, not candidates. Yeah, are we going to be seeing Tumani and Jeremy Grant? Because if Jeremy Grant's only playing 20 minutes... Man, by the way, I thought Jeremy Grant was fucked at the end of the season when he pulled up on his calf and he left that game. I thought he had a calf strain and he was going to be out again. Because Jeremy Grant hasn't played in hardly any Aprils in his recent career. But Tumani, Gunch, you're right, my friend. We could be seeing some Tumani Kamara fronting Wemby and then trying to funnel him into Donovan Klingon territory at the rim. Because if there's one place that Klingon is able to use that height and that size, I would say it's above the rim versus Wemby. He certainly can't chase him around. He can't guard him in space. But if you're able to force Wemby to meet Klingon at the summit, that is one of the very few people on this planet that I think can do a good job of contesting without fouling. So on the perimeter at the free throw line, you're going to see Kamara and Jeremy Grant. And then once we get to the restricted area, you'll see Klingon and you'll see Robert Williams III. And you still in the chat? Jay is asking, will Fridge Tours feature Dino Nuggets making a triumphant return to the end of the streams? Only if the Dino Nuggets are on sale, because I only buy the chicken nuggets, whichever ones are on sale. Oh, this feels so good, by the way. Why didn't I do this originally? And I look good on camera, too. I'm kneeling at the bed right now, but I'm using a bar stool as like a fulcrum leverage point, and I'm leaning on it, and it feels so good. Back is like euphoric. LB in the YouTube chat is saying, I really think it's an ego thing with Ware. He's delusional about it when it comes to himself, but do you have any evidence to support that? Promised You says, Denny has such an unlikable play style. I would say you have merit to proclaiming such proclamations during the regular season, where he was being the beneficiary of a lot of calls, but that was not the case tonight. And in these games that are either sudden death or we head towards game sevens, you're going to be seeing a lot of crew chiefs as the entire officiating staff. So it's going to be your Zarbas and your brothers, your Ed Malloys and your Billy Kennedys are all going to be officiating the same game because of the magnitude of it. And the further along we get in the playoffs, the more Scott Foster and Tony Brothers are all going to be officiating the same games together. But in the regular season, when you have a lot of rookie referees, the ones that we see at Summer League, they are what I like to call on the clipboard with Monty McCutcheon. I don't know if Joey Crawford is still doing this stuff, but they are like grading harshly for every missed call. So they feel the need to enforce the rule book literally and as written, and or as written. The result of which is physicality, resulting in a lot of defensive fouls because that's the way the rules are written. But tonight, Denny was not getting as many calls as he normally does during the regular season. And I think this is part of the experience, too, and why it's so important. How it's even worth a first-round pick for someone like Denny to realize in person that when he's on his butt, on his back, with his palms to the sky, asking the referee, like, are y'all going to call anything tonight? Like, the answer is no, man. No, they never do. It's no blood, no foul in a lot of these playoff games, especially the ones like tonight where there's so much on the line. It's not fair that the game is officiated differently. It's just the way that it is. It's inconsistent. And I know everyone always says, all we want is consistency. But, man, there's three guarantees. The first of which is the playoffs will look like a different sport compared to the regular season. Second guarantee. The pace is going to slow down in the final 5 minutes to a crawl. There will be no more fast breaks, no more secondary transition, and your star is going to be getting locked up until the 5-second mark where they're handed a grenade. Can they go get you a bucket? There's only so many teams that can get their guys open, Denver Nuggets being at the top of my list. And the third guarantee, let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, just that these games are going to be officiated differently, and physicality will be permitted a lot more than it is in the regular season. Josh says in the chat, I think the Blazers are more likely to steal a game than Phoenix would have been. Phoenix 9-10 winner will be fun. I agree. I think the Portland Trailblazers are a better matchup to get a victory against the Spurs than the Suns. Yes, I will concur with you. Jay says, between the Clippers, Warriors, and Suns, who has the best chance of taking a game or two off of OKC? The Clippers, but I am going to stand by my theory that San Antonio has gift-wrapped the Thunder a path to the conference finals in which they will lose 0 games in both the first and second rounds, because they're going to play Phoenix or someone in the first round. Doesn't matter. It's fucking blowout. And then the second round against the Rockets, despite their improved scoring, I still don't think we'll find a way to get a game. Despite the game of the year being open at ring night between the Thunder and the Rockets, I don't think they'll get a game against OKC either. LB in the YouTube chat, what's up? Saying, will you be going live after games during the playoffs, or is tonight just a one-off? I will be going live at least 3 times per week, thanks to our partners here at ProfitX. And you guys hopefully are willing to deal with me giving them some promotion, because they are the reason why I am staying up late to provide this content for you. So if you have any sports investing desires throughout the playoffs, I hope you consider using ProfitX. If that is not for you, then it's not for you. But if you've ever had an inclination or desire to participate in such activities, we hope you consider ProfitX for your needs. Does it work in Cali? Temporarily, no. I think mine stopped working because it depends on what state you're in. Josh Oliver says, Laker fans don't agree. Did you see the days off for the Lakers-Rockets schedule? It's favorable for a quicker Luka return. Man, we were told today that he's going to be out indefinitely, and the rumors were the injury is worse than a grade 2 strain. We're talking like 6 weeks here. I don't think he's coming back, and if he is, man, I'm holding my breath, doing the sign of the cross to the basketball gods, that he does not make that even worse, because he is not leaving the team after this season. We do not have a Kevin Durant Golden State situation going on here. He's going to be locked up long term, and you ain't winning shit this year, so you might as well get him right and have him get ready to start picking his team for the next 5. Steve says, really, I feel like all Spurs fans are glad that the Blazers won. It's an easier matchup. The Suns gave us fits all year. Yeah, the Suns also have regressed back to the mean here towards the end of the season. I do not trust the Suns as far as I can throw them. That overachieving does not translate to playoff success. You need star power, man, and they just don't have it outside of Devin Booker, and they certainly don't have size either. Mark Williams can't be out there for a significant period of time. Iguodala plays bigger than his body frame permits. I would much rather play the Suns. But OKC, it didn't matter. They're going to sweep either Portland or Phoenix. So, yeah, if you're a Laker fan, you should not want Luka to come back, man. It's not worth it. I mean, I own Lakers season tickets for resale purposes. I sure hope he comes back, I guess. But now, if you're a fan and knowing what he's capable of, I think you're building for the future here, because he's got plenty of gas left in the tank for his career. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Do I have any outstanding NBA futures besides the Denver title? No, I don't have Denver title. I just think they're going to win. My biggest future was the Atlanta Hawks winning the division, which cashed. Thank you to Atlanta. And my outstanding NBA future, I have the Detroit Pistons to win the Eastern Conference at 12-1, which I booked a couple weeks into the season. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. But that's it. That's all I got left. I have individual awards. I have pretty much the entire 6-man covered. It just depends who wins, how much I'm going to win. Most improved player, I don't have anybody. A defensive player of the year, I'm going to lose a little bit because I have Wemby, but I faded Wemby the moment he went down during the regular season. I bet the board practically against him, thinking he might not come back, but I was able to get Wemby at a decent number after his return, so I'll lose a little bit there. What else? I have Shea at plus. I have Shea at probably the best number possible during the season. I have Shea to win, let's see, it's like plus 150. Shea at plus 150 with a couple of hedges. So I'm going to cash that one. Anyone else I'm missing? I didn't bet Coach of the Year, none of that. What's up, Shep? Do I ever sleep? Sleep when we're dead, my friend. You know by now we got to be out here doing post-game shows, man. I hope all is well. So for those of you that have SiriusXM, Shep is our new talent here who's been handling the post-game show. And Shep, I am very thankful because those solo shows, man, are tough work on radio. The difference here, people, on when we do a stream like this, Late Night with Wob on internet and digital, is it's common practice for me to like stop talking and read the comments for a little bit, right? That's natural. And that is something, it's much more relaxed because you're not structured going to commercials and stuff. But man, when you're doing radio where no one can see you and you have to just talk and talk and talk all the time, you better come prepared with very, how would you put it, Shep? I would say you better come with articulate opinions and points supported by facts that can be structured in a way that it's delivered in 30 seconds or less before you either move on to the next topic, you address something different, or you take a call. And when people can't see you, you can't pause and be like, oh, let me read the comments for a minute. So you just have to be able to yap to yourself for 2 straight hours without the luxury of engaging with a live stream too. I would consider this much easier than doing radio. So I was doing radio, I was watching these games, taking those game notes, which you guys know me for from some of the radio roulette days. It's a lot of stress, man. And the solo shows, you can't use chemistry of your partner. You can't rely on just having a conversation with your partner when you're doing a solo show where you're by yourself. That's show business, man. You got to be able to do it all nowadays. So if you guys are ever in the car late or you're looking for someone to listen to, Shep is going to be on the radio for close to 2 hours alongside Bryce Gilman, I imagine, is producing those things. Man, we have some stories, Shep, if you're still here listening. Ask Bryce about the time that me and him were doing a post-game show around 1:30 in the morning. And then I think Joe Biden was coming into the garage as president during his presidency, and they were just towing all the cars out of there. And Bryce had to leave the show to like go save everyone's cars because there was a skeleton crew and I'm out there like by myself. It's just me and the world, and the whole universe wouldn't have known that if something went wrong, like we just didn't have anyone at SiriusXM, but it was just a calamity that thankfully he was able to navigate properly. But shit like that can happen, man. And in radio where you can't just like, oh, my internet went out, I'll be back in a second. There is none of that. There's no one to send you to commercial. So it's a completely different medium. And I do enjoy the relaxed atmosphere of these type of shows, even though there may be a time that I get pissed off and come in here and scream a little bit. That don't equate that to the same anxieties of being able to eloquently deliver your points in a tone where people can You can't. What if you do that? You can't do that on the radio either. Sorry. God bless me. You can't just stop and sneeze. You just got to eat it. Thank you, Ducks fan. I was trying to eat that and finish my point. Like I was trying to preach about doing radio. You got to eat a sneeze. Oh. All right. Well, maybe that's a good way to say goodbye. I've been yapping for how long now? An hour and 40 minutes again. Just like the playoff preview show. Shout out to you guys for rolling almost 9,000 deep in here at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday on the East Coast. Fucking salute to the locusts in Antarctica Nation. Stoney says, not the sniffles. That's taken out so many players this year. Shaden says, what a night, what a game. Go Blazers. Can't wait for the playoff atmosphere at Moda Center again. Absolutely. We should be calling it the Rose Garden, man. The Rose Garden's going to be popping. Those playoff-starved fans of those cities that are not major markets, they always fucking deliver. I am not on load management. I am still performing despite my sniffles, unlike half the teams at the bottom of the Eastern and Western conferences. Eloquently preaching about tone, and then he blows that. I'm sorry, what am I supposed to do? I wish I could play some Danilo Gallinari for you all. Maybe we could get Helwick on the saxophone again. Helwick, have you been practicing? Yeah, Shep, I may have the details a little wrong. Just ask him about the time that he had to run to the parking lot to move a car in the middle of the post-game show. It may have been during like the conference finals last year, but it just puts it in the chat like, sorry, gotta go. I'm like, what do you mean you fucking gotta go? We're live to the world on a major NBA affiliated platform right now. But he had a legitimate reason because he was being tasked with something that no one else in the building was able to handle in an emergency spot. But yeah, no, he did it, and it went great. So AJ says, do you remember that random guy who started taking shots at Tim Bontemps on Radio Roulette? Man, y'all got to leave Timmy B alone. But yes, Tim is incredibly plugged in. Tim has anyone that you can name in this industry on speed dial. The way that he delivers his opinions can come off as a little obtuse to some. But that's my dude. He is a genuinely great guy. And above all, he's a great hang. There's a difference between someone who is like professional in this industry, does their job well, whether they like you like them or not, they'll always be there to put on a good show. But then there's another thing to be a good hang. And what I mean by a good hang is someone that you can go grab a steak in a can with. That's Budweiser. Let's go play a couple hands of blackjack in Vegas during Summer League. And you can just go kick it and have a good time. And not have to worry about anything. No preaching, just shooting the shit. He's a great guy to do that with. Can always hang out late. Helwick says he hasn't played the sax in over a year. This might be the chance, the opportunity. I'll FaceTime you into the show here, and we'll see what you got. The best part is it's not perfect. Just like this stream. Nothing about it's perfect. We like authenticity here more than proper presentation. That's what it's for. Still can't believe LeBron went and Windy. Shep says, talk about being on your toes. Nothing like live radio. Yeah, until you actually do it, man. There's just something about with video, And with internet live streaming, you can always fall back on the visual if you run out of something to say. You can always go to the comments for inspiration. You don't come prepared with a full show rundown menu and facts to support your points, you will find yourself just out of things to say. And at SiriusXM specifically, if no one says anything for the alert goes off after, I think, 5 to 10 seconds. If there's no words being said, there are alerts that go off throughout the building and the headquarters that there could be a problem with that channel is experiencing technical difficulties, and it will send push notifications to the executives like you have an emergency that you need to figure out right now. There could be a channel that's down. And that if you just don't talk, if you have like nothing to say and you don't have the skill to be able to vamp, that is the difference between radio and internet. While it's still in the same concept of delivering content and preaching and giving opinions based on fact and or experience with the eye test, man, you better be in a mood to talk. You got to find a way to talk to yourself too. You very quickly learn when you get thrown into the fire that's a skill. And I found a way to yap here for an hour and 47 minutes, but this feels like cake compared to doing radio sometimes. New appreciation for it once I started doing it full time. Absolutely. What's up, Luca? What are you doing awake? You're just joining the show? What part of the world do you live in that you're able to just hop in here Wednesday at 3 a.m.? Helwick says he's going to test the saxophone for us. We're slowly bringing back all of the little fun parts of our old shows. So this is meant to be a combination of Late Night with Wab. Radio Roulette was more audio callers too, but here we're just doing comments for now, and we'll find ways to integrate videos contributed by the fans throughout the postseason, which we haven't even gotten to the playoffs yet. That starts on Saturday. No lie. Oh, it's 12 seconds, Shep. Okay, so that's right. If anyone out there has aspirations to get involved with creating content and you end up finding yourself on radio at some point, if you go 12 seconds without talking, it will send DEFCON 1 alerts out to the entire company or all the managers that there is a technical problem with channel, in the case of SiriusXM NBA channel 86, alert, 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 help, help, help. And they'll be like, what the fuck's going on? Well, he forgot what to talk about. And then you got to explain why the talent went silent for 12 seconds. I'm sure that's happened before. Yeah. What kind of question is that? Coco Mama says, what happened to the live police chases? Pardon me? Pardon me? What do you think happened to them? We're full steam ahead. Andrew, that was a sneeze. It's all over my computer screen now. Yeah. You just exposed yourself, Coco Mamba. You are very clearly not a member of the Noti gang. And on that note, people, it is now 12 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesday. Tax day, April 15th. Y'all pay your taxes? Don't be thinking just because politics have shifted, I'm not going to pay my taxes this year. Don't be doing that. Don't be listening. They will come for you at some point, especially if there ends up being a different administration at some point. Pay your damn taxes. The last thing you want is a knock on the door from the IRS, or in the case of the state of California, the FTB. They will come to collect. They will put liens on you. They will make your life hell. Pay your taxes, people. We got a stat of the night from who else? Steve Helwick. First ever play-in tournament without Jonas Valanciunas. That includes the 2020 bubble play-in game. So Jonas had played in, I imagine he was with the Pelicans for a couple. Huh. Always coming with the heat, Helwick. We appreciate you. I should have been like this the entire time. Noted for future streams, you will find me in a more comfortable position than sitting on the damn bar stool, hunched over. Are we back here tomorrow? Asks Mike. Probably not. You guys get 3 streams a week, maybe 4. But to do a stream, there needs to be chaos. To do a stream, there needs to be games, especially on the West Coast, that are worth going live for late at night. And because we got back-to-back bangers from the NBA, after what we endured all season long with the shitty-ass regular season, we deserved these 2 games tonight. We earned them. And it's a pleasant reminder on what this product is capable of when you have stars on the floor with something to play for. Man, is that stuff good, isn't it? It's almost as if the regular season makes it hit even harder because now we appreciate it knowing it only happens at a certain point on the calendar versus the entirety of the regular season. Adam Silver has intensified. Oh, Drew says 50% deal with TurboTax from Uber got my taxes handled. You got $1,300 back? Shit, I owed like $4,000. But yeah, I got 35% back from TurboTax through my Capital One card. NBA should do a better job of making play-in stats available. So many funny quirks that aren't properly respected. NBA Cup final stats too. On that note, people, to the 9,000 of you, I must say good night. Go prepare. When I sign off, I got some shit to do. I got to go prepare for this RJ Barrett interview tomorrow morning. But if there's something, come in here and talk about. Of course, we'll be back with Late Night with Wob, playoff edition. It's been a pleasure, my friends. See you on the timeline. Deuces.